Now on Talking Solutions, Joe Engel from There Is No Hero in Heroin, or shortcut, TINHIH.
TINHIH.
Nice to have you back.
Thanks for having us back.
Also joining us today, Krista Hales, a board member with TINHIH. And Krista, you're involved deeply with this year's Black Monday 2019.
Yes, I get the honor of being Black Monday's chair this year.
You get to do all the work. Okay.
Pretty much.
I've been really anticipating having you guys in. I really want to talk about our issue with opioids, especially here in Southern Nevada, and keep people up to date because there's a lot going on. And I always want to remind people that this is a family issue. This is something that's affecting everyday families, neighbors on your block, people that you work with. It's having a tremendous impact. I don't know if you guys heard the numbers that came out recently saying that you have a better chance of dying from an opioid overdose than being killed in a car accident in the U.S.
Atrocious. Unbelievable numbers.
It's wrong in so many ways.
It used to be a couple of years ago, all drug overdoses surpassed that number. And now it's specifically opioids that have contributed to that factor.
There was also some report, I believe it was somewhere in California, didn't get all the details, but they had all of their EMS units out at one location because 6 people overdose because of fentanyl. It's a huge problem. You know, TINHIH, There Is No Hero in Heroin, great local organization. Joe, you were the creator here locally.
Yes.
And we're now up to the 6th Black Monday. For someone who doesn't know what Black Monday is.
What is it?
Yeah.
That seems to be one of my biggest hurdles when I try to explain it to people. This year's theme is help and hope. It's part symposium, part memorial, part celebration of life, and part fundraiser. We gather 20, 25 different vendors throughout the community, all touched with addiction, whether they're providers, recovery homes, whether they're just friends of recovery. There'll be 25 different vendor organizations for a recovery resource fair. There'll be food. We'll have music. We have a keynote speaker this year, Ryan Leaf, ex-NFL, collegiate standout NFL player. He's a national speaker. This is the first year that we've had somebody of his caliber. We are incorporating 2 types of trainings this year as well. We're going to have Narcan anti-overdose prevention training, and we're going to have harm reduction training, which I'm sure Krista would be able to explain a lot better since she is the chairperson.
I think the term we came up with was a public education forum. So like Joe mentioned, we've taken what we've done in previous years and expanded it to try to meet the needs of what we're seeing and hearing on Black Monday. So we're continuing, obviously, serving dinner, having a program, the resource fair with the providers, but also getting those big speakers, doing the trainings. The harm reduction movement is a huge movement right now because we understand that not everyone's going to be ready for treatment on any given day of the week. So harm reduction meets the individual where they're at and seeing what they're willing to do right now to make sure that they're safe in the time being. So offering that training is going to be an option for both individuals in recovery that are wanting to be recovery advocates, individuals that are maybe still struggling with addiction and are wanting to know how to be safer in their addiction, as well as friends and family so that they can get that mindset of meeting their individual where they're at and helping them in that moment as opposed to forcing maybe a program on them that they're not ready for.
And also being armed with the medication. Once they complete the Narcan training, they're going to walk out with a little Narcan kit. So they'll have a life-saving kit that'll have 2 doses in it that'll actually help somebody who's experiencing an opioid overdose. It'll bring them back to life. So these people who are exiting the class are going to walk out with 2 free doses of that.
I think a lot of people don't realize how important it is to have that. I was talking with a wonderful woman leading up to last year's Overdose Awareness Day. She had lost her son to an addiction, and she was very passionate in wanting to help anyone that she could. And so she was planning to have a Narcan kit in her glove compartment so that when she came across someone who was having those issues, she could help them right now. It's important to have it in your home medicine cabinet. It's important to know how to use it. But it sounds like you're offering that kind of educational training as part of Black Monday 2019.
Correct.
That is coming up on February 11th. It is at the UNLV
Student Union
Ballroom
from 5 to 8:30 that evening. Mm-hmm. You're moving locations for the 6th annual event.
We actually outgrew our previous locations probably a couple of years ago. This location, we have more room for 850. We are able to be in this location due to the fact that we've established a collegiate recovery program at UNLV called the Rebel Recovery Community.
I know over the years that we've been talking about opioids and all of the things that come with addiction. We talked several years ago about the Recovery High School being implemented in Clark County. Now CCSD has that, and you're talking about also a recovery program at a collegiate level.
Correct.
So we're taking these kids and getting them into recovery because there is life after addiction.
You betcha. Recovery is possible. People can, and they do get well. I think it was Black Monday #3 when I was being interviewed and they asked what we wanted to see. We were on the front lines of the implementation of CCSD. TINHIH actually put together the group of people that proposed it to Clark County School District, and now we've set our sights on the collegiate recovery world. The idea behind that is that these kids are going to transition from high school into the higher education world, and transitioning into college is difficult anyway, let alone with all of the troubling aspects of trying to stay sober. And then from there, hopefully they will graduate and infiltrate our community with the whole recovery mindset. We're really looking to move the needle here in Southern Nevada.
Move the needle, Joe, and also remove the stigma. I always harp on that because this is a family disease and nothing where people should hang their head in shame. People become addicted to opioids through very innocent things, like their doctor prescribing just a small quantity after a procedure or when necessary, and it takes no time at all to end up addicted. We've got to take care of those people. We've got to have a place for them to go. We need information and resources for them and their families so that we can wrap our arms around them as a community and say, we can help you.
That's a really good point. There is no heroin. Heroin has established the alternative peer group, which is on site at Mission High School. So when school's not in session, they're very, very welcome. We have a classroom over there, and it's a recovery community organization for adolescents. So we have recovery supports. The outside recovery community brings 12-step style meetings in. We took the kids to camp last summer, populated with all sorts of mentors. So really, recovery is 24/7, 365. So
it is.
After the school hours, we're open on the holidays, we're open on the weekends. That's what's going to combat this, is surrounding these kids, not only with love, but with the supports in teaching them what it means to be sober.
Giving them the tools that they need. I find that when you care enough about another person, you ask to find out more about what they're dealing with. You find out that a lot of the people around you are in recovery from something. There are many, many different addictions out there. But the fact is, it's not about how many times you fall down. It's about how many times you get back up. And we all face challenges. We just need to have the support systems in place. I know, Joe, the things that you encountered in life created TINHIH here in the Las Vegas area. How long has that been since you started this whole thing?
We incorporated in 2013, so we are in our 6th year right now. I sat around the table with a couple of other parents who all had opioid addiction touch their lives, and I'm a bereaved father. I lost my oldest son to a heroin overdose, and the idea behind it was we wanted to help. We weren't quite sure what the help was going to look like, and it's manifested into this. We've been successful in creating a scholarship fund for people entering sober living homes. We've been on the forefront for the Narcan overdose trainings. We've established the recovery high schools and now the collegiate recovery program. And this is mostly from volunteer work. There's an army of supporters because the opioid epidemic has hit so many people, as you've suggested. And we are empowered as a group of parents and individuals who love someone who's addicted. With that empowerment comes action, and we find comfort with one another in actually doing this kind of work together.
That community of people who are affected by opioids and addiction and recovery and loss, very, very passionate. That pool of people keeps expanding. Joe, I'm always looking for positive upsides to things. Hope awareness is greater than it was. Are you seeing any movement in a positive way to help cure some of the things that we've discussed in the past? I know that Nevada, traditionally, we've never had the kind of recovery beds that we need.
Correct.
Are we getting better?
They just opened up the Crossroads of Southern Nevada, which is a very nice facility. A friend of ours owns it, Jeff Iverson. I don't know if you've ever had him on the show, but he would be a wonderful guest at some point. He's done an awful lot of good in this community as well. Krista would probably be able to speak a lot to this. What I've noticed is the awareness level is there. When we first started, we would sit at a farmer's market when we wanted to get our name out there. We would put a no heroin sign at our little table, and we would be talking to people sitting right next to somebody who was selling microgreens or something. And sometimes the parents would take their kids and they'd walk around the table.
Avoid it.
They'd avoid us, People weren't really talking about it near as much. And that's only 5-6 years ago. Nowadays, people talk about it at work often. So it is talked about. Federal government just signed the opioid package, which has released a lot of money. It's going to release release a lot more funds to each state. Krista, again, would probably know a lot more about that because that's really her world.
I work full-time in substance use treatment. The agency I work for specializes in opiate addiction. And as Joe said, certainly over the last couple of years, we've made strides. We're not totally there yet to meet the needs of our community. There are still some barriers when it comes to beds and someone being ready for treatment in the moment and those type of situations. But I think being out there and having open discussions about options has become more prevalent. The agency I work for has always specialized in medication-assisted treatment, which was previously a very controversial topic and was kind of the black sheep of the treatment world. And over the last couple of years, people have realized it works and it gets people sober and they can function on a daily basis. So now it's actually one of the forefront, especially with treating opiate addiction. Matt is usually the preferred topic now when opiate addiction comes up. And I think being able to have open, honest conversations about the options that an individual has is where we've made the biggest strides.
Bringing it out of the darkness is like the first step of a healthy approach toward fixing the problem for every individual.
Absolutely.
Stigmas have to be removed. Shining a light helps us when it comes to talking about it, as you just referred to, Krista. It helps us educate. When we talk about things like Narcan, things that we can get at any pharmacy throughout the state and in many other places to help us prevent, to help us be ready. Nobody wants to have to deal with this, but I'd much rather have Narcan in my medicine cabinet, be educated on how to use it and never use it than to need it and lose someone I love because of that.
Agreed.
We are talking about TINHIH, which stands for There Is No Hero in Heroin, a 501c3 charity, helps to educate people, helps people coming out of addictions, recovery, and also every year has this event called Black Monday this time, 6th annual. It's happening on February 11th. Joe, we talked about the establishment of the CCSD Recovery High School. So we know kids are also suffering from opioids and addiction. This spans all age groups, sadly.
The average age of initial drug use overall right now is 9.
What?
For initial drug use. That's all encompassing. That includes like alcohol and marijuana and those things too.
Yeah, but 9?
9. And most are heavily into addiction by 14.
And this is affecting a lot of our kids.
Absolutely.
Parents have got to know what's going on. We had a discussion leading up to the Overdose Awareness Day that we referred to earlier, and she was talking about going to a school assembly where they were talking to parents, and they were talking about the dangers of vaping. I get that. But they were going to talk about drug use, and they didn't bring up anything related to heroin and opiates, even marijuana. So they were choosing to talk to parents about one thing that might be a problem, but the thing that could actually kill their kids didn't come up in conversation.
Certainly part of that could be policy, and there's a line from a movie that I love called The Anonymous People. And in order to change public policy, first we need to change public perception. And I believe that perception is changing. It's not there yet. We have a long way to go, but the first step is people are becoming aware. Now we need to show them who we are, what people in recovery can do. So we're going to need to start showing some outcomes from the recovery high school. That's what the policymakers really want to look at. They want to look at outcomes. It's always a numbers game.
That makes sense. I know a lot of adults that have gone through addictions and are in recovery. They started out as productive members of the community, went through the turmoil, and are back being productive members of the community. There is life after addiction.
Unfortunately, those that are in the throes of the addiction, they normally don't vote. They normally don't pay taxes, so they don't have a voice. But the ones that are in recovery, we do vote. We do pay our taxes. I'm a person in long-term recovery myself for an awfully long time. So it certainly is a struggle, but life is a struggle. Life is hard, it really is.
It is.
For anybody. Luckily, I don't have the consequences that come with acute drug use anymore, but I still have the consequences of living. The bill collectors never end.
They don't give you off just for that. Oh, you did great.
I'm a nice guy now.
Forget all that other stuff.
We are not unique, those of us that are in recovery. And a lot of times when somebody is in the early stages of recovery, we think we should get recognized. But that's really not the case. So it's my job as a person in long-term recovery to help these new guys coming into recovery and let them know this is what's expected. This is what life really is. These are the life skills that we're trying to teach.
I think people should consider, you're saying you have an 850-person capacity?
Yes.
In your new venue for Black Monday 2019? February 11th. What a great place to come and find out about all kinds of things. Krista, as you mentioned, there's going to be vendors there with information, a lot of information. Find out about resources that parents and people in general can have in their toolkit, like Narcan. A lot of information. Plus, when you talk, Joe, about recognizing people who are coming through that addiction, Black Monday is a great time because over that 3.5-hour period, that is the event for this year, because you guys got a lot going on, but certainly recognizing people for what they're accomplishing is a big part of that celebration.
That's one of Krista's announcements, is not only the individuals, but the community partners, what they've all worked on.
Yeah, something new to the program this year is we've gathered information about all of the community providers and what they've done to assist in helping combat this. Because as a treatment provider, I know what everyone's doing, but not necessarily individuals that are in recovery or still in the throes of addiction know what's going on at a higher level. So we have updates from Las Vegas Metro Police and their program and initiatives, from our local syringe access program, from the health district, from treatment providers. There's a lot of numbers that are going to be thrown out in the program this year that I think are going to surprise some people.
There's going to be a lot of information at Black Monday 2019. We are talking today with Joe Engel of TINHIH. There is no hero in heroin. 501c3 charity, plus one of his board members and the person who's setting up this year's Black Monday event. I call it a celebration because I do truly believe that that's what it is in the long run. Getting the awareness out there, providing the information, the resources, helping people get through it and carry on. As you said, Joe, it's not easy. Life isn't easy. As far as the event is concerned, I know in years past, you mentioned, Krista, the dinner, the resource fair, training for Narcan to help arrest a heroin overdose and save those people who otherwise would not make it. But the Carnation Wall, are you going to have that again?
The memorial wall and the memorial video. People are submitting photos right now, and if we could put links on our website, they could submit photos up until about 2 weeks before the event. If you've lost someone to addiction, we would like to memorialize them. And if you have someone that's still in the throes of addiction and they want to be part of the video, we want to honor them. And if somebody has overcome their addiction, we'd like to celebrate them. So you can email to me. The link will be up on the website, joe@tinhilasvegas.info. And people can come and buy these certain color carnations to represent each phase of addiction. And at the end of it all, we'll have a little presentation.
You know that I'll have all the links on the Talking Solutions Facebook page, along with the podcast of our discussion today. Krista, I keep coming back to the thing that you mentioned about the average age for a kid is 9.
That's the average age of initial use.
Initial first use.
Wow.
And I hear stories all the time from individuals that are coming into treatment for themselves, and they're telling us that their children are being offered things at school, in elementary school. And it's a pretty common story I hear now when I listen to our patients come through our doors.
That makes it really crucial for parents to know what's going on. When you've got a 9-year-old child in your household, they're still at that very young age to where the parent should be in control of as much as possible. So we've got to make sure that they have the information, especially if those kids are being approached and offered substances of any kind at that age in grade school. Parents need to know. Parents have got to attend things like Black Monday. I'm excited about the event. This just expands every year.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Unfortunately, it's needed, but we are very blessed that we have groups like TINHIH to be there to educate and help people through this, because there is hope on the other side. As part of Talking Solutions, you know we always ask, what can we do to help you?
Attend and tell your friends. One of our main missions is to put adolescents through sober living environments. Donate to our cause. Like us on social media. Share whatever links that we have. Join our email list. We are growing, and we need more people to be aware of this. So just word of mouth.
We'll do it. We'll have all the links available. Krista, same question to you. What can we do to help you?
Get involved. Try to not pretend like it's maybe not affecting you. Because I come from that family that no one thought it would have affected, and it did. And then I found TINHIH and got involved, and this is my outlet now to make sure that it doesn't affect another family. So getting involved. We need as many soldiers on the front lines with us as possible.
Volunteer opportunities?
Absolutely. If they're willing to volunteer, we'll find a way to get them involved.
Because just like I mentioned, the most passionate volunteers I've ever come across are people who have dealt with these issues in their own lives or someone in their circle. TINHIH, great resource of the information and links for Black Monday coming up on February 11th at the UNLV Student Ballroom. All the info, all the links on our Talking Solutions Facebook page, along with the podcast of our interview today. Am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
You're always welcome here. As we've said, sadly, we need this. We need more information out there. We need to keep shining a light until everybody gets that this is a family issue, that there should be no shame. Opiates are addictive. The consequences are enormous, and there is help.
I do have one more thing to say. The Rebel Recovery community, if there is any college-age, traditional, non-traditional student that goes to UNLV and they are in recovery, if they want to join the Rebel Recovery community, they sure could use some support as well.
All right, we'll have all the information.
Thanks, Terry.
Joe Engel from TINHIH at Black Monday 2019, and also Krista Hales, director of this year's Black Monday event. Thank you so much for joining us today on Talking Solutions.
Thank you.
Thank you.